Hey everyone, welcome back to Niche Pursuits News. I'm your host, Spencer Hawes, and I have Jared Bauman with me. Jared, how you doing today?
Very well, very well. Good to be here again. Looking forward to this week's, and we got a bunch of news to cover as always.
We do indeed. Yep, it's been a good week for a lot of reasons. There's some interesting changes in the industry that we will talk about, but also on a personal note, I ran the Boston Marathon on Monday. So just a few days ago, I was in Boston, ran the 127th annual Boston Marathon. It was my third time to do it, and it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. Boston knows how to get people out to support marathon runners. The crowds are large. People are, cheering you on. So had a great time. Had my whole family out there to cheer me on the last half mile. Anyways, it was a great experience. I enjoyed doing it.
What? And we're going to talk about marathons later on today, by the way.
We
But
are.
why? I was thinking about this before. I didn't get a chance to ask you how it was, so always good to get the update. But why is the Boston Marathon is considered like the biggest one, isn't it? Why is that?
It is, yeah. Pretty much, it is the most prestigious, primarily because it is the longest, well, two reasons. It's the longest running marathon in the United States, 127 years,
Yep.
right? So 1896, I think. It's been running annually. So for that reason, it's, historic. And then the other one is it has qualification times to be able to run it. You have to run another marathon fast enough to be allowed to run the Boston Marathon. So it's prestigious in that regard. People work for many years to try and qualify and get in. I was one of those, worked for many, many years to try and get in. And so I did. I qualified 3 times and just ran it. So that's the two main things. And then Boston's just a cool city, man. They shut down the city for Patriots Day. It's a holiday, a paid holiday for many of the employees there in town. So they all come out and watch the marathon. And of course, you get all the elite runners that are out there. Eliud Kipchoge ran the marathon. He's the probably greatest marathoner of all time. He was expected to win, but did not. Got 6th place. Anyways, for those that know and understand marathon. So lots of reasons. Boston Marathon is just a cool experience.
So cool. Before we jump into the podcast, I wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
Do you remember this campaign? It was all over the news. It is the most intelligent royal campaign. With over 100 links generated in the world's biggest online publications, this is one of the most viral PR campaigns of 2021. This is how we've done it. The methodology was pretty simple. We looked at the QS World University rankings for the institutions attended by key members of the royal family to discover which royal is the brightest of all. Meghan Markle came out on top, followed by Kate Middleton and Prince William. We put these findings in a press release and sent it to mainstream media and journalists who write about royals. From Russia to the UK, the US, Vietnam and Japan, this story got massive coverage, landing over 100 links and created a massive buzz on social media. Simple research, but a great story that journalists love to write about. I hope this will put you on fire and will give you inspiration.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now.
So we won't, I could spend an hour talking about marathons, but I know the people listening to this are not marathon runners for the most part. So let's chat other business news, shall we?
Let's get into it.
Yeah, and so I think what will be our biggest story of the week is that Adthrive has evolved a little bit and changed their name to Raptive. So Adthrive and Cafe Media are now Raptive. Raptive.com is the big change. And, this is pretty new. Was it just either yesterday or the day before, maybe?
Yeah, something
Right?
like that. Monday or Tuesday. They've been teasing it for a little while. If you're, an Adthrive or Raptive member or whatever, if you have a website with them, they've kind of been saying something big's coming. I think it was April 18th as I look here in my email. So Tuesday, it looks like.
Right. And so I am going to try and just share, they did a big news release, PR Newswire here, and kind of reading through this, we're trying to tease out why did they make this change and how does that impact Adthrive customers or Adthrive advertisers, right? For everybody listening to this podcast. And if as I read through this, they mention the word sort of enterprise. They're making a lot of changes to kind of meet the needs of enterprise customers. It's sort of vague, right? It says, "Hey, we've evolved." I'll read the quote from the CEO. He says, "Our company has evolved. While we remain the largest ad management company and continue to invest significantly in ads, we've expanded our services and solutions to match the needs of the creators and enterprise publishers we serve. Our new brand, Raptive, reflects that transformation. It positions us to best support our creators now and in the future, and it unlocks a first-of-its-kind opportunity for advertising partners to connect with our amazing creators to create impactful content, exciting experiences, engaging media solutions, and more. Creators are the future of media, and Raptive provides access to the best." So it says a lot without saying a lot,
That's a good way to put
in a
it.
way. And if I recall, at some point here, they basically say May something, May 1st, maybe May 3rd. Here it is, Wednesday, May 3rd. They're going to sort of announce what a lot of these real changes are. And so, reading between the lines, here's just my first instinct is that, okay, they are positioning well for enterprise. And if you go to Raptive.com, which I'll share this new tab, it's a brand new website, new look, new feel. If you go to Raptive.com, I don't know if you can see it, but if I hover over my tab, the very first word, sort of the meta description of Raptive.com is enterprise-Raptive, right? And so they clearly are going after enterprise customers, right? They're growing. And then the other thing is they're making some changes, and some of the wording and phrasing makes it sound like they are becoming like an influencer network as well. So they've got the ad. So I think that they're going to bring in some of this influencer sponsorship opportunity network as well between enterprise customers and creators, probably, right? So enterprise customers can connect with all the bloggers to pay for sponsored posts, to run media packages, right? Social media promotions, other types of promotions, right? In addition to ads. That's sort of my reading, my take on this. I don't know, Jared, what do you think on some of this news?
Yeah, I would, man, there's so much to kind of dig into here. Most of it, all of it speculative because the news release was pretty vanilla,
Sure.
kind of more of a, it's almost like a branding relaunch at this point with
Yes.
details to come further. One thing I found fascinating, I'd like to get your take on is when I spent a little bit of time looking at this, I hadn't really realized the connection between Adthrive, Cafe Media, the history there. We're kind of used to, in our world, it's Adthrive. That's what we know it as. But yet we all kind of ubiquitously know a bit. We always see at the bottom a Cafe Media company or a Cafe Media brand or whatever it is they say. I never really thought about the relationship between Cafe Media and Adthrive. If you dig into it, I know you did as well. Cafe Media acquired Adthrive a while ago. And then there's been some
and I'm going to
history.
share
There it is.
Crunchbase
Yeah.
that gives some details, right?
What do they walk through that? I don't have that page in front of me, but yeah, it's
So let's actually go back to Adthrive. So Adthrive was acquired by Cafe Media, and that was in 2016,
okay.
right? And so Adthrive was always, their description here is a lifestyle, digital publishing and ad monetization, right? They're the ad network, the Adthrive that we all know and understand, right? Cafe Media acquired Adthrive in 2016. Cafe Media is the world's largest ad management service. I don't know exactly, other than maybe they are some of the ad tech behind Adthrive a little bit, and they sort of married and joined forces. Unfortunately, somebody that knows this history a little bit more and the difference between Cafe Media and Adthrive could speak to that. But they joined forces in 2016, or Cafe Media, acquired Adthrive, and then Cafe Media was acquired by ZMC in, I believe it was 2018, and I remember I saw that somewhere. I may not find that right now.
And they're basically like a venture capital firm, right?
Yeah, they are a private equity firm.
Private equity. Okay.
Yeah, in 2018, here I did find it. ZMC acquired Cafe Media for an undisclosed amount, right? And so, yeah, it's a private equity company that is quite large, right? They've had 10 acquisitions, 9 investments, 2 exits, right? And so we don't know how large, of a company it is, but here's some of the companies that ZMC owns. Adthrive or Raptive just being one of these, right?
So I think that'll play into some of the things maybe we'll get to in a little bit. That history, I think it might be important that people kind of hear that history because I hadn't connected those dots. And we'll get into
Right.
that a little bit.
Yeah.
Another thing I think is interesting is you really did zero in on the enterprise, and that wasn't something that Adthrive previously was known for, or at least positioned themselves on. As a matter of fact, I think we always kind of thought about Adthrive and Mediavine targeting very similar kind of clientele. And there's so much debate about which one's better, which one, or if I'm a food blogger, which one should I go? If I'm a lifestyle, that kind of thing. It seems like with this, they might be. Here's the analogy I think of. For a long time, a company like a Market Muse has been the enterprise solution for on-page optimization efforts. And then we had the introduction of a company like Surfer that came in and provided a lot of what Market Muse historically would do, but we bloggers couldn't afford. They provided that at a price point that we could afford. Now, granted, it's not affordable until you have some measure amount of traffic. And so then we also saw a lot of these other, I don't want to say knockoffs, but kind of similar type feature brands, like a Phrase, for example, that would pop up and be a much cheaper alternative. We see them on AppSumo and stuff. And it's almost like Phrase was positioning themselves for the entry-level market, for Surfer certainly, for an intermediate market, and Market Muse was always the enterprise solution. Man, I feel like maybe we're going to see that develop in the ad management market, where we talked about Ezoic a lot last week and how awesome they are. They have no, specifically for entry-level blogs, they have no traffic requirements. If Adthrive, now Raptive, is positioned themselves as this enterprise solution, does Mediavine slot in as that kind of middle ground solution that would fit the needs of a lot of bloggers that aren't enterprise yet? But so anyways, I'm rambling, but it's interesting to kind of walk down that path a bit and see as the positioning develops and the market matures.
Yeah, I think it is clearly a positioning play, and we saw a response from Mediavine that dovetails very well into what you're saying here. So Adthrive feels like they're kind of going up market. They're expanding their services and they're embracing enterprise customers, trying to reach more enterprise customers. I mean, we can clearly see that with the new website here. They've got a whole, enterprise. You only have 2 options: creators, enterprise, or login, right, or apply. Right. And so on the other hand, and I saw this, I'm in the Mediavine Facebook group, and the CEO of Mediavine posted basically, hey, there's been a ton of news in the industry. Although he didn't reference Adthrive, clearly that's what his post was in response to. And he wrote a blog post called, and I'll share this now, called "We're Still Mediavine." And that's all it's titled. Again, he does not mention Adthrive, does not mention any of the Raptive or any specific changes, but it clearly is in response to these changes, right? And he basically says, hey, we are still kind of an advocate of the blogger. We are not, we still answer to you, our publishers. And he goes on to say, hey, we're not answering to shareholders, to investors. We're not part of a publicly traded company. We're not part of a private equity firm, right? We're not answering to the board. We are just a privately held small company. And, here he's saying, we're not controlled by a board or shareholders or specific metrics like EBITDA, Our roadmap is in our hands. And so he's trying to position the Mediavine as, hey, we are the advocate of the bloggers. We are here to best meet your needs. We're not answering, to some big shareholder that is just trying to get us to increase our bottom line more, even if that means abandoning potentially some smaller bloggers so we can go after enterprise customers.
Yep.
So this is all sort of speculation, but it appears that the blog post and the evidence sort of that's what's happening in the positioning of the market, that Mediavine is clearly trying to position themselves of, hey, we're sort of in this ground of, we support bloggers, we we advocate for bloggers, we have great customer support, we've got these additional products like Grow and our own video player that support these bloggers. And it appears that Adthrive is positioning themselves of, hey, we now have more products and services for enterprise customers. So I think you're about right that, hey, we've got like an eZoic that has no page view requirement, right?
Which that was a movement down market from them over the last couple of years, and we talked about that last week. It used to be, I don't know, 10,000, I feel like. So that was down market.
That is exactly right. And then Mediavine, are they still at 50,000?
I think so. Maybe it went up a little bit. I know
100,000 depends.
I think it's 50 roughly, yeah, as the entry level.
Yeah. And then Adthrive now is, I mean, they've always had the 100,000 traffic requirement.
Do we see that go up? Do we see that
go up? And do they feel like, hey, we're going to expand and make so much more money from enterprise customers? This new influencer network that I'm creating out of thin air, trying to read between the lines, that I think there's going to be this influencer opportunity. So we'll see. It's interesting. It certainly feels like that's the positioning that these three companies are making.
Couldn't agree more. One note on that. I know both being involved, having websites with both Adthrive and Mediavine, and just talking with other people. I know for a fact Mediavine, and I believe Adthrive as well, they have some offerings in there about influencers, like, hey, get connected with brands. I don't get the impression that it's very successful for most people that I talk to. Speculating, but most of the people I talk with don't really get much from that. If they get, say, a big media bundle where they do a sponsored post and a video and these kinds of things, they tend to get it on their own relationships. And we know influencer marketing is huge and being used by a lot of brands. So I can see that being a play where an Adthrive wants to say, man, how do we crack this? How do we crack the proverbial nut here? How do we get our publishers these types of opportunities and then take a little piece of that? That's probably a pretty big market opportunity.
Yeah, I think it is. And so is it smart business for them? Maybe so. Maybe they're going to grow the bottom line. Does it change things for, sort of call it the mid-level blogger? I don't know that either, right? And so it is a change, something to keep your eye on and just be aware of. Adthrive is now Raptive, appearing to expand offerings. We'll find out exactly what that is May 3rd, it looks like.
Maybe we'll talk about that on that week's niche versus
I'm
niche
sure
podcast.
we will. So I think that's all that I have to say about that, right? Interesting to see Mediavine's response to that as well. So fun and interesting times. So our next subject that we are going to talk about here is let's touch on the recent Google update. Last week we talked about the Google Reviews update. It's no longer just the Google Product Reviews update, right? It's all types of reviews. And so I put a small poll out on Twitter asking my audience, and I just did that last night before I went to bed. So it needs a little bit more data maybe, but I've got 156 responses. Let me share my screen. I basically asked my audience, hey, what changes have you seen to your traffic in the last week? It's been about a week since the Google Reviews algorithm update happened. What are you seeing? So about 16% of people are saying that traffic is up more than 10%, and 58% are saying no major changes. They're not seeing much, and 26% are saying that traffic is down more than 10%. And we've got a few comments here, but not a ton of insights necessarily on the types of sites or anything like that. But we can clearly see that, hey, there are some changes. That's an impact for, about 40% of sites are either up more than 10% or down more than 10%.
It's it obviously probably still has about a week to go. These updates seem to take 2 weeks now. I don't know why that is or how they've landed on that, but the rollouts tend to take 2 weeks. We probably said it here before, but this could all change. Sometimes they'll, roll something out and then reverse it or something like that. But it doesn't seem to have had much of an impact as other updates. Certainly, although I have seen several people talking about how they've seen dramatic changes in traffic on articles that have nothing to do with a review.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And, there could be a lot of different theories behind that. But I do think that's interesting. I thought I'd at least point that out. Last week we said, hey, the update's just starting. Go check some of your articles that are review focused, to maybe take a look at the top trafficked ones you have on your site and see if there's been any changes. Maybe actually look across your whole website to see if you've had some big changes across non-review pages. So that's an interesting tidbit there. We'll see if that carries through the whole update.
Right, because they're clearly trying to expand their definition of product review to be all types of reviews, right? I think they even mentioned in their release sort of reviews of like hotels or travel related things. At least I know I talked with one person that owns something similar to that, not exactly travel. I won't talk about their niche specifically, but had mentioned that, hey, this is not a product review, but is like it has review elements in it. And some of those articles were impacted. They were seeing a downtrend on some of those articles. And so Google has sort of applied this similar algorithm to a broader set of articles, types of content. And so if you're seeing that impact, reach out to us, let us know, respond on the Twitter thread. We'd love to see what's happening for your sites. Like Jared said, there's probably another week or so before it's finished rolling out, and maybe we'll have a little bit more specific data that we can look at in terms of types of content that were hit. But maybe it's kind of wide across the board. Maybe this product reviews update or this reviews update is reaching into things that aren't really reviews a little bit tangentially. So interesting to look at for sure. Okay, so let's see, Jared. I think maybe you had one other sort of news item that maybe I'll let you introduce and we can chat about here for a second.
Yeah. I think there's been a couple, I'll say, smaller announcements in Google this week. We love to talk about Google on this podcast. And by the way, Spencer, this might be the first one that we are not going to address AI. At least it's not on the agenda.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
That just occurred to me right now.
Yeah, of the 4 or 5 episodes we've done, AI has had a center stage. So let's give people a break.
Yeah. Get to cool the jets there for just 1 week. But anyways, I digress. Google has come out and said that the page experience report is going away in Google Search Console. And now they didn't say, to my knowledge, when that was going away. Core Web Vitals will remain in Google Search Console. HTTPS report will remain. And the mobile friendly test is also going away. And so
interesting.
Yeah, I know. Like it's very odd that the mobile friendly test is going away, because they even said that doesn't mean mobile usability isn't important for success with Google search. It is important. But they didn't really tell us why this is now better for us. The page experience report is going away, and I think that it's going to change, I guess. That's probably the best way to put it. They're removing the existing page experience report and replacing it with content around, quote unquote, what Google thinks is a good page experience. This change will happen in the coming months. I'll read the line that they gave. The page experience report was intended as a general guidepost with some metrics that aligned with good page experience, but not as a comprehensive assessment of all the different aspects. Those seeking to provide a good page experience should take a holistic approach, including following some of our self-assessment questions covered on understanding page experience in Google search results page. And we've talked about those before. Those are like, do your pages have good core web vitals? Are they secure? HTTPS. Does it display well for mobile devices? So it's ironic. I'm not surprised, but Google is basically removing some reports, but then also providing at the same time this update that says that helpful content should have a good page experience. And they also announced that this week. Right. Google's core ranking systems, and I'm quoting them, look to reward content that provides a good page experience. Odd, because you just took that report away. Anyways, site owners seeking to be successful with our system should not focus on only 1 or 2 aspects of page experience. Instead, check if you're providing an overall great experience across many aspects. So Confusing times, I've got to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I will say that there's, with clients at our agency, like there is confusion amongst clients between the Core Web Vitals, the general page experience, the general Google Page Speed Insights, and the Core Web Vitals. So I could see how streamlining some of these singular reports they give you the ability of, and maybe moving towards a more streamlined and holistic approach would be effective. I'll be honest, so the timing is odd that in one announcement you say helpful content must have now good page experience, and then in the same week you announce the page experience report is going to go away. That's a bit odd.
I sometimes wonder if these changes happen because Google's such a large company.
Two different
They've
departments.
got two different departments, employees not talking to each other, right? Teams not knowing what the other team is doing. And it's like Google Search Console team is like, we're going to remove this, report at the same time that, another team's announcing this big thing. I wonder if there's some of that goes on. It would be nice if they talked to each other a little more to make that a smoother transition. But yeah, it is interesting. A little bit of changes, and they had a list of. Am I on the right page here? They had a list of questions to ask yourself or to ask about your website to make sure that you are having have a good page experience.
Yeah, you want to be on the Google developer page there. And I can read through them if you don't have the tab.
Yeah, maybe read through those because I don't think I pulled up the tab.
Yeah, no problem. So
ahead of time. So
they basically said, hey, helpful content must have a good experience. Answer these questions for your website. And so I'll just read them out loud. Do pages have good Core Web Vitals? Are pages served in a secure fashion? Does content display well for mobile devices when viewed on them? Does the content lack an excessive amount of ads that distract from and interfere with the main content? Do pages lack intrusive interstitials? How easily can visitors navigate to or locate the main content of your pages? And finally, is the page designed so visitors can easily distinguish the main content from other content on your site?
Yeah.
Before we jump into the podcast, I wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
What a crazy campaign. How to sleep on your back. This campaign got us links in Huffington Post, Glamour magazine, Mirror, and lots of other great news publications. Let me show you how we've done it. It was so simple. Our sleep client provided us with expert commentary about how to train yourself to fall asleep on your back. They also gave advice on why it's best to sleep on your back. Once we've had this information, we went to Muckrack and searched for journalists that consistently write about sleep and well-being. We've sent these journalists the advice provided by the client, and within one day the links started flowing in. Glamour magazine, a DR81 website, picked it up. Huffington Post, DR88, Mirror UK, DR90, a massive avalanche of links blasted through our client's website with this simple yet effective campaign about how to sleep on your back. I hope this inspires, and I hope you'll use this technique to land massive links to your or your client's website.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now.
Yeah, so that's a list of questions that people can go through and ask about their own sites to make sure that they're providing a good page experience. I mean, I think it's things that we probably all know, but it's good to check in and review from time to time. It'd be nice if maybe there was a report that did that for us. But and there's lots of tools out there that lots of auditing tools. What are some of your favorite auditing tools, Jared, to kind of look at websites and figure out if there is a good page experience for a particular website?
Yeah, I mean, our two go-tos are still Ahrefs along with Screaming Frog. Screaming Frog is a little bit more of a kind of like intense type of audit tool, but the type of stuff that it gives you is absolutely fantastic. I've watched over the years Ahrefs, pull different types of things from that. We'll also generate a report that gives us a really good look at, and it's a shame because if you go into Google Search Console, that page experience report does have a lot of really valuable things that I do think that people should look at for their website. You don't need an Ahrefs. You don't even need a Screaming Frog to go in there and see things, if you go, I guess it's not the page experience report, it's a page report. But if you're wanting to audit some of your content for these types of experiences, go into Google Search Console and look at pages where they say are crawled but not indexed. So that's a really clear indicator. If you have a lot of pages there, discovered but currently not indexed, duplicate content, server errors, canonical tags. So you can learn a lot from Google Search Console without needing some tools like an Ahrefs and a Screaming Frog, although those kind of pull the data together in a much more organized fashion for you.
Awesome. So let's move on to our next segment here. Let's move on to what we call shiny object shenanigans. These are things that we're working on the side, not the main focus of our business. Maybe not the biggest revenue driver right now, but maybe it'll be a nice new revenue stream down the road. And so I'll go first. I am going to bounce back over to my Faceless YouTube channel. And so this is something that I've been sharing, of course, on the podcast. Last time we mentioned that, hey, I had hit 1,000 subscribers and we could get monetized. We could submit our application to get approved for Google AdSense, Google Ads on the channel. And so we did that. And it took, I don't remember, it was less than a week, I think, or close to a week, where we got a response from Google. And unfortunately, it came back and said, after somebody has reviewed your application, you are rejected to be monetized. Yep, that's right. So I'm sharing the drama here first. And I work with a partner on this. He's the one that's really doing all the work. He emailed me immediately and said, you know what, don't worry about this. They've got an appeal process, and you can appeal this, and as long as you document all your reasons of why you are, should be approved, you can get approved. And what I didn't know is that they actually ask you to record a video and submit it showing why you should be approved. What did they get wrong? And anyways, you can appeal the process. And I was like, okay, sure. If you really think that that's going to work, I mean, Google just overturning things. He's like, don't worry about it. So he did that. He appealed it. I believe it was within 24 hours we had a reversal and we got approved. It was crazy.
Someone watched the video within 24 hours?
It was within 1 or 2 days. I've been traveling, so I'm a little fuzzy, but it was pretty quick. They watched it. We got approved. And so our channel is monetized. And it is making money now. So, so interesting, because if it were me and I saw that I didn't get approved, I'd be like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have got approved, because, it's one of these, you do kind of combine clips from other things. But in their guidelines, we are definitely following their guidelines, and we just had to point that out, how we were following them. So it's been approved. So the very exciting numbers, I'm going to be looking at this other screen because I'm not sharing publicly what my channel is just yet. This is maybe a little juvenile, but this is the case. We have made exactly $4.20, and today is April 20th.
Hey!
So it's interesting, Anyways, we've made exactly $4.20. The RPMs are super low right now, but it's only been a couple of days. It's $2.71 per 1,000 views. So nothing super exciting, but that may change, right? I think we need to give it a few weeks to really see what our true RPM is going to be. But it's exciting. We're up. We made our first, almost $5, and so now we're going to ramp that up.
Any idea? I mean, I'm trying to pace it, but maybe just for people who are catching up for the first time, any idea how long it took from maybe first video creation to this point? How fast you guys got to the 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours? These two things, roughly speaking, are what you need to get qualified, and then qualified and now earning money?
Yeah, so it looks like we published our first video on February 1st. And
2.5 months.
I believe it was early to mid-March, so a month to month and a half later is when we hit 1,000 subscribers, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh no, you just hit them 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Oh, so that would have been 2 months. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. So that would have been about 2 months total to hit
About 2 months to
1,000
hit it, yeah, and
subscribers.
then a week or two to get through all the.
And then a week or two to get through the approval process. And we published, gosh, I should have had the numbers, pulled up, but it's something like 20 videos on the channel. And we've paused publishing. So our last video was published on April 3rd. And we've done this intentionally so that we could get to 1,000 subscribers. We published a bunch of short videos. We then removed all those shorts because you don't make much money on those. The only intention of the shorts was to get 1,000 subscribers. So that's kind of what we've been doing the last couple of weeks, is getting those up, removing those, and now we're going to get back to creating our long form videos. And so our traffic and earnings should start increasing here over the next month. So
Did one more question. Did they give you a specific reason or even a general reason why your application wasn't accepted?
They did. They did give reasons. It was sort of related to potential copyright issues. Like I said, we do combine clips from other videos, and if you don't sort of have any commentary or original content layered on top of that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had to prove that point that, hey, we have some original stuff going on here as well. So that was primarily what it was.
Well, congratulations. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I love this project because, and maybe not the exact intent of how you're using it, although I love the case study, but I think a lot of us have in the back of our minds just what a Faceless YouTube channel might be for our website, and maybe it's not a primary revenue driver, but an add-on for something we're already making money on as a brand, and to expand that brand. I know I'm very keen on watching along just to see what it looks like, what the process is as also maybe looking at that as an opportunity.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of it I think just comes down to hustle and just getting the content out there, right? 20 videos in, whatever it is, 2 months. That's a fair number, right?
Takes some time.
Takes some time and some effort, as you well know. And we'll transition here into what you've got going on, because I know you published your very first YouTube video just today, I think.
I was telling you before we started recording, it's funny because without realizing it, having to come on here and talk about our shiny object gives a little bit of a deadline for something that normally doesn't have deadlines. Shiny objects, for most people, they don't have deadlines. You get to them when you can.
Yep.
Most of them fizzle out. Some work out, but it's like a little mini deadline. So yeah, I arrived right before the podcast started recording today. We got that first video that I've been talking about published. And again, for those who are catching up for the first time, I'm trying to start a newsletter, send one email a week, committing to that, and grow a newsletter for the SEO community. And then I took one of the more popular emails that we sent out, and we made a video out of it. And
there it is. I'm
and there it
showing
is.
on the
So-
screen now. So
Yep, it's on the screen. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's on the screen right now. And so, not just simple recording, but, got it edited, went out and found, tested some different people, and got these different things put together into a video that's a little bit more edited and polished for YouTube. We're going to embed that in the blog post, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So yeah, landed on a great video editor. We went back and forth for about a week there. And I think, it's 11 minutes. It's a little longer, but, I think we're trying to shoot for 5 to 7 minutes on these videos. But, I waffled too long in the videos I created. So the poor editor could only do what they could do. But I think we're going to move forward now on doing more of these because we've kind of landed on a good process.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing. It does take a while to figure out the process, to kind of get the studio and the audio and everything set up just right. Although I think you're probably ahead of the game because you record the podcast. Right?
That helped.
You've got the lighting and the microphone and everything already. But that can take some time. And then, figuring out the editing process and everything. So congrats on getting your first video out there. People can go over and watch that one if they want. And you're continuing, of course, with the weekly newsletter. So,
yep, weekly newsletter is going out. We're going to send one out here in a little bit. And so I think we're on week 6 of that. We're fast approaching 1,000 subscribers. So
Awesome.
I think we're right around 900, right under 900 or so. So we'll see. That might be a milestone to celebrate coming up here if we could break 1,000
I think so.
subscribers. It's just kind of a vanity metric. I don't get to monetize with AdSense like you do on YouTube, but still a nice number to shoot for and feel good about.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, hitting 1,000 subscribers with a newsletter is definitely something to celebrate. And so, yeah, congrats on that. I know you're working hard on the newsletter. And so, yeah, we'll keep sharing some updates as far as that is concerned.
Once I hit 1,000, I'll share a couple of future goals I have for it at that point. Nice little tease for people to stay tuned in coming weeks.
Yep. I guess that means you're committing to continuing to do it. So some added pressure from podcast listeners. So you can keep putting in the effort behind that newsletter as well. So now to my favorite segment of the show. We are at One Weird Niche. This is where each of us are going to share one weird niche site that we've come across in the past week or so. And I don't know, do you want to go first or do you want me to jump in? Either way is fine with me.
Your call. I'm ready to go. If you want to talk about if you want to talk about a subject that most people do not want to talk about,
let's do it. Let's have you go first and share your nice little find here with us.
Perfect. So today's, and I will say, Spencer, I did lean on the Niche Pursuits community for this one. So I took a page out of your playbook.
You're forgiven.
I didn't have to ask. Somebody reached out to me and said, Jared, this is a great one. So shout out to Albie there. And I have to admit, I think this is a fun one because people don't really want to talk about this. Talk about weird niches. Cockroaches. We are talking all about cockroaches today.
I love it. Cockroachfacts.com. Oh, man. Yeah, take us through this.
Yeah, if you might be glad you're listening on the podcast today because what we have in front of us are some very close-up images of cockroaches. If you're a bit squeamish, you might want to turn away. We got a pop-up with cockroaches. I mean, it's just cockroach heaven here.
You get it all.
So this is a website that, unlike a lot of the websites we've been talking about thus far, and that's why I wanted to talk about this one actually, is this one's really more developed out as a traditional website that like a typical listener might do. It's a nice theme. It's organized nicely. The articles, from all intents and purposes, from a quick glance, look really well done. This looks like the type of website that I might review when somebody in our circle of people that we know sends over, right? It's been around for a little while, but let me see some of the stats here. It's a DR39. There's about 111 pages on it, according to Ahrefs. Nice. Again, Ahrefs gives an estimated traffic of 75,000 monthly visitors.
Nice.
And let's see here. A couple other things I wanted to highlight. So if you want to navigate over to the About page there, again, like what we've been talking about in so many of the niches, the weird niches we look at is how just underdeveloped these things are. This is very developed. I mean, when you think cockroaches, I don't know if you would think of an About page this well built out. They feature scientists on their webpage that are editors with PhDs. I mean, you can't get a PhD in cockroaching that I know of, but clearly they're experts in something related to the science of it. And, obviously we know like there's a play to Google for EEAT.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's just that or if these people are really actually that involved, but I thought that is really interesting to see. Spencer, you'll be pleased to see this if you just go to pretty much any blog, any post there, although I did provide one of the notes if you want to pull that up. Like they have some great internal linking. I think this is a dead-on ringer for a potential Link Whisper customer. You might want to look them up because they do a great job. They make custom graphics for almost every single one. So anyways, I think all around a weird niche that's being done very well.
Yeah, it is. And, I had to catch myself from chuckling too loud as you were talking there because I look at some of the topics and I'm trying to understand what this means exactly. Cockroaches for kids. I mean, that's one of their menu items. I don't know what that means exactly, right? It's a whole category. I mean, I guess how to draw a cockroach nymph, how to draw a cockroach life cycle. I guess that's kid related. So why would Pokemons never have existed without insects? Okay, that's a fascinating article, I'm sure. The Madagascar hissing cockroach. So they've got a whole kids section, right? You can do your artwork. And then roach-free recipes. What does that mean?
I saw that, and I have to admit, I didn't even click on it. I was like, boy, I'm hitting the edges of my cockroach.
A simple 5-step guide for getting rid of cockroaches. So it's a recipe, I guess, for getting rid of cockroaches is what it is. Not food related, at least I hope not.
I was wondering if maybe it was stuff you can, like all natural home remedies to get rid of them. Like maybe if you make like a lemon syrup, it, attracts them or, gets rid of them or something.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure at least one of our listeners is fascinated enough. They can read up on all the recipes, the roach-free recipes, and can maybe fill us in. But getting cockroaches out of your car. Hey.
So we have an upcoming interview that I've already recorded, but it has not gone live yet.
Okay.
That's going to release very, very soon. I say very soon. I don't even know the schedule. That's your ball game. But I did record this interview, and it's with someone who started a very prominent pest website and talked through a lot of the ways that he made a lot of money on this website. One of them was through selling pest products as an affiliate. Another one was through recommending local exterminators in the area and getting paid per lead. And so as I look at this website, obviously it got a very heavy ad play. I didn't see who the ads are, but they look like one of the ad management companies we probably talked about earlier today.
Yep.
But I mean, so much opportunity. If you're searching for how to get rid of cockroaches, I'm imagining most people searching about cockroaches are searching about how to get rid of them in some capacity. Like so many opportunities for affiliate and lead gen on this website. And little tease, stay tuned because we got a great episode coming out about this space.
I love it, man. We've got so many hooks to keep people coming back. We don't plan this stuff. It just falls in our lap, guys. This is awesome.
So anyways.
I also will share, I'm over on SimilarWeb, right, that shows total traffic as well. So they show that, hey, this website's probably getting 101,000 visitors a month. And you can kind of see traffic sources and engagement, where it's coming from. I have to imagine that, I don't know, when's pest season? It's when it warms up, right? So
Probably.
things are going to cockroaches are going to start coming out the woodwork here. April, May, June, I think, is going to be the fun time for cockroachfacts.com. Anyway, so good find. I love it. Gave me a little chuckle on a couple of the articles. So that's always means it was a good find for sure. So I'm going to share one now that is super relevant this week. This is one that I thought of mid-podcast last week while we were recording. Those that were listening will remember that. The light bulb moment went on, and I said, I know one. It's related to running. I ran the Boston Marathon, and today I'm going to share marathoninvestigation.com. That's right, marathoninvestigation.com. This is an entire website where it's run, I think, by a single person. He writes all the articles where he investigates and researches marathon cheaters. People that maybe started the marathon and then halfway through took a bus to the finish line to get there faster. And he investigates and he calls them out and writes out articles and said, so-and-so cheated and here's all the evidence of how they did it. This is one that I've been following along. I'm a fan on their Facebook page. Every article that they post, I probably read because it pops up in my either feed or Google Discover or whatever. Like this recent one, Houston bib swapper steals age group win from 12-year-old girl. So basically meaning that somebody else ran with somebody else's number. So this particular person ran with a 12-year-old girl's number and won the whole age group. The fastest 12-year-old when this person is probably, 30 or whatever. So, and again, basically it comes down to cheaters, people wearing other people's bibs, cutting the course, all that sort of stuff.
I had no idea this was a thing. I mean, I learned all about bib swapping in the 5 minutes I looked this site over. I didn't even know that was a thing.
That is a thing. And going back to the Boston Marathon, people do this because it's prestigious to be able to get into the Boston Marathon. And so what you do, some people have done, is you buy a bib, a number under your own name, and then you get one of your fast friends. You say, hey, I'll pay you $50 if you go run this marathon for me with my number. and then I can go run Boston and act like I'm super awesome.
Wow.
So people do
But
that, and
it makes sense
they
where there's
cheat.
pride and where there's,
Yeah.
especially like, I mean, running's not my gift. I mean, I've had a friend recently who's training for a half marathon, and he asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said nope. I can only imagine how good it'd feel to run a half marathon, but to run a full marathon is, I mean, of course, if you didn't run it, I don't know how good it'd feel, but I suppose the prestige of it is clearly driving. I mean, I'm looking. There's over 300 articles on this website. Gee,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
this is a thing.
No, it's a thing, and it is a very, very niche, and it is a weird niche, but it's so funny because I understand this niche so well, and I can understand some of the motivation. Here's an article about runner caught using bib mule in New York City to qualify for the Boston Marathon. Right? It's prestigious. You get people that maybe don't realize how hard a marathon is. Right? And they've shared leading up to the marathon on social media, hey, I'm going to go run, everybody follow along. And then they get 6 miles in and like, oh crap, this is hard. And then they find a way to cheat, right? And they cut the course, or they get a ride, they take an Uber 10 miles up. And so that they can post on social media after the race and say, oh, I ran it in this great time. Aren't I fast? Aren't I great? And they get this sort of the social, accolades that they're looking for. And so there are, there's some drivers for why people would try to cheat. And so this website calls out the cheaters. It doesn't get a ton of traffic from my search. Probably doesn't make a ton of money. It's supported by ads. I actually think that this website could probably do a lot more. He doesn't post a ton. His last article was February 10th, right? I think there's a ton more that he could be posting and talking about to kind of be more in the gossipy running news niche that I would read and others would read. But that's my weird niche. I think it's very relevant for this week, just being the week that I ran a marathon, and kind of a fun one overall.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, what type of monetization angle would you go with on this? I mean, I wonder if it's almost more of, I'm thinking out loud, I think your classic like affiliate or ad play might not be the best way to monetize it.
Yeah. And that's what they're doing is they have an ad play right now. They ask for donations. You can see here as well. I think if you were to go bigger, if you built a large like Facebook following or some social media following that would come back for these little obscure little tidbits, right? Sort of gossipy things that happen. Like, oh, did you hear so-and-so ran this marathon, or did you hear about this weird thing? I think you could get enough traffic to be monetized by ads. But then I would definitely build up the email list, and then everybody on your email list is a runner, and so that you could expand from there, either your own products or it is maybe an affiliate play with the best shoes or whatever, right? But you really need to kind of build the audience, whether email or social media, to get them coming back more and more frequently.
Yeah, I wonder, there's a big craze around communities on like a Patreon, which obviously if you have your own website, you can kind of mimic a lot of those things with plugins and that sort of thing. But this seems like a passionate community where if the author, Derek, it looks like, wanted to get more involved, you could have a podcast, a newsletter, a YouTube channel, interviews. I mean, you could really become much more than just marathon gossip, although that might be enough alone to carry you there.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's clearly just a side project for this guy, but it's one that I follow along, and definitely a weird niche here that I don't know if any of these cockroaches or marathon investigation sparks ideas for people out there, but that's kind of the idea here, is just to see that there's so many opportunities in so many obscure ways that you can build a website, you can monetize it, hopefully make some money. And we've run across some that are actually quite large and can do quite well. So you never know how niche of an idea might be that actually can make good money.
How about sendmarathonfacts.com, an ode to our cat facts reference a couple weeks ago?
That one is always in the back of my mind of just, boy, kind of combine the humor with like the passion of the niche, right? I think you could go just about anywhere there, right?
30 marathon scandals in 30 days.
Yeah, I would be fascinated if somebody signed me up where I got a text a day about random obscure facts or cheaters of marathons, right? So who knows? Um, Somebody out there is going to do something like that. Let
so
us
true.
know. Yeah.
So true.
Did we do it? Did we get through everything that we had planned here, Jared?
We're good to go. I think, I mean, we left some things off the list, which is always a good sign, I mean, we kind of have to, kind of like what Spencer says, we do have a rough agenda, but we kind of just roll with it. It's a lot more open-ended than the classic interviews that you'll get on a Wednesday. So yeah, I think it's a good one when we have to leave some stuff off because we filled the time so well. That means there's a lot of news to cover.
That's right. There's always happenings, always news in the industry. A lot of the ad news that we talked about. Maybe we'll talk about ad networks again next week. I don't know. But there's always weird niche sites to cover. I've got a whole spreadsheet now. So stay tuned for more of those. I got a backlog. And of course, we'll keep you posted on our sort of side projects that we have all the time. So I just want to thank everybody for listening in or watching to this week in Niche Pursuits News. If you want to follow along with me and Niche Pursuits, for more news, other content, go to nichepursuits.com/newsletter. And of course, if you want to listen to Jared more often, you can go to two places. One is just listen to the Niche Pursuits podcast. And then your newsletter is where can people go for that, Jared?
Oh yeah, weekendgrowth.com/newsletter.
Very good. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. And thank you, Jared, and have a great week.
We'll see you soon. Today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
What a masterpiece PR link building campaign. With 20 links in big publications such as The Sun, Express, Mirror, Wales Online, and still landing, I would say this campaign is a massive success. We told the press that people should turn on their heating this summer if they want to save money next winter. And we landed over 20 links in national and regional UK publications for our boiler client. That's crazy. The campaign hook was pretty clever. It is a known fact, at least in the boiler trade, that if you keep your boiler off for many months, it might rust and it might get you into trouble if you keep it turned off from spring to next winter. We therefore advise the press, with an expert commentary piece, on behalf of our boiler client, that people should turn on their boilers this summer just when the heat wave is in full swing. This way they can avoid a boiler failure next winter and save money. Massive publications picked up our story, including The Sun, Express, Mirror, Wales Online, and a few more dozen publications, giving our client links, lots of links, and lots of happiness hormones. No wonder that so many journalists covered our story, as this headline is a massive link magnet to their audience. This case study highlights the fact that a clever hook can be applied to any insight or story to make a campaign more successful and more compelling to journalists. Can you imagine when people see this headline in the news, "You should turn on your boiler this summer"? There's no way they would not click on it. I would click on it. So this was the hook, and this is why this campaign was so successful. I hope this video inspires and shows you what's possible with a clever hook.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now.